Before we open for a couple of questions from the audience, more on a generic aspect, we spoke a little bit about AI and the impact that this has to our day-to-day in society, right? Now, a lot of that might be some type of hype. We've heard elements and concerns in the market about how much of truth is in the generative AI trends and so on. How is that changing how you think and how you operate? How is artificial intelligence and specifically generative artificial intelligence influencing your way of thinking and planning? How as much as you can share without going into your own secret sauce, let's say.
Yeah, I think AI is so fast, right? It's like a sprint. It's a catch-up game at this point of time, because every other day, every other week, there is new releases, there's new upgrades, and there's just so much learning. And in fact, I'm learning so much from my team, who build so much, who vibe code so much on the daily basis right now, right? Whether it's at work or out of work. So I think there's a lot of learning. It's a very uncomfortable moment for a lot of people, because things were done more traditionally, right? And now, say for example, if you are an engineer, right now your area has been disrupted, right? Anybody could code simple stuff, right? I wouldn't go to the extent and say everybody can just build a bank, right? But everybody could build very simple stuff already. Right, so I think AI is enormous. It's running so fast. At the bank right now, we have piloted a lot of stuff. We have actually launched a lot of stuff, whether you see it at the front of the customer lens or not, right? But AI is not just about what customers receive and experience, but it can be used in many shapes and form, right? Say for example, earlier we talked about risk. Actually, AI can be used a lot from how we detect all of the risks, right? And how do we actually do risk graph modeling, right? And identify what is high risk versus low risk, for example, right? In transaction monitoring even. Yeah, or whether it's used from a use case perspective for customers to make a transfers, to make a payment. I think it can be done in many shape and form. In the bank, it's something that we need to continue learning, just as I do as a person. I think there's a lot of things out there, and it's only great if we could all do greater stuff from a technology standpoint, from an AI standpoint, right? And the person who will well receive all of this is the customer at the end.
Thank you very much. I'll see if I can hire my grandmother as a software developer through AI then. We got 5 minutes for some question from the audience. So I guess there's a microphone that can go around. If anyone wants to fire a question, just raise your hand and the microphone will come to you. Otherwise, we go on with a couple of other points. While there's one there. Oh. It's always the icebreaker that starts, and then we normally go over time with these things. So.
Okay, so looking at the technology evolution, like in the banking, I'm especially talking about. So in the initial days, it is. In the recent past I'm talking about, it is in the initial days, first is like a cloud infrastructure came in, then the big data analytics came in, now the AI driven. So considering this evolution, AI is overrated or else it is truly a transformative? I want your genuine opinion on this.
I would say it's transformative. It has changed a lot of things of how every one of us could work. I use the word could is because, to me, whether you want to go above the line or below the line is a choice, right? You can be in two camps and decide that it's okay, this is all a hype, I'll just wait. That can be one camp. And I dare say 80% of the people will be in this camp. Or there will be another camp where people really think there is a chance. Everybody is hopeful. What's the tail end of it? I don't know, at least, right? Maybe Elon Musk knows, right? But jokes aside, I think everybody is hopeful that we are able to change how everybody lives, right? Because right now, not sure about you guys, to a certain extent where we use so less of our brain now, right? I can see people talking to Gemini, for example, right? Asking very, very simple questions that you could brain yourself, right? So for me, at a personal level, I would take it in two dimensions. For work, for a better way of living, you should all leverage on AI. But at the simplest form of being a human, in the simplest form of being a human, I would like to use my brain. We can't all just rely on one thing and not the other, because we see it now or not, in generations to come, it will be different, right? The critical thinkingness and ability will be diminished if we just rely on that form of intelligence. And so with that as well, there are many forms of intelligence. We are talking about artificial intelligence. Emotional intelligence will be swiped out too. That's my personal opinion, right? So I think we need to be very human, right? Very humane at the very base of all.
That's really interesting. I think I feel that your strategic thinking part is really important. I was reading the other day about a professor who sent out an assignment to their students. Came back a lot of perfectly written report about a writer, and it's like, okay, well, these are all generated by AI, and the challenge that the professor actually gave back to their students wasn't, oh, go back and redo your homework. It was, oh, take that piece and criticize it. And actually came back that all of that was very shallow element without not much critical thinking. So I feel that critical thinking part is really important and risky. And as we've seen today on identity solution and so on, AI can be a strength and a challenge. Any other question?
One thing is, thank you for your honest answer, first thing. And the second question is, what is your opinion on the disruptive AIs?
Any example of disruptive to you?
Disruptive AIs, like in the previous presentation they have shown, right? The thefting of the identity. Thefting of the identity, like, the fraudulent activities, like, the thefting of the facial identification and use it for a transaction, those kind of disruptive things. Even though we have some measures in place, but it is not the, it is not the level of controlling it is completely up to the 0%.
Got it, yep. Sorry, I actually missed the earlier session. just arrived not long ago. I think there will always be bad guys around. Otherwise, the cops don't have a job, right? Else the world would have been perfect. So, and funnily, to think bad is always easier than to think good. To do bad is always easier than to do good, right? And that's where is governance around things like that. Are we able to make it 100%? Let's be real, whether it's in physical world or in digital world, it's never 100%, right? So it's only abilities for us to detect. And that's where technology comes in. To be very fair, for those companies who actually do just pure eyeball, right? Thinking, oh, it's the safest of all. How sure are you that just through your naked eyeballs that you are able to tell, right? Because you can't. So it takes a lot more, in this case, the technology component part of it to be able to differentiate, right? So say, for example, for Malaysia, our current EKYC, that's where many things come in place, right? And it comes in multiple different folds, starting with your MyCard. Thankfully, our national ID comes with a lot of like over 20 landmarks, security landmarks, right? And these checks are being done on the first side, right? And then to the back of the My Card, to taking a selfie, right? And then comparing a selfie, so on and so forth. So when we partnered with Entrust to launch, we actually played as the bad actor. We went to the extent where we took, sorry, maybe I'm suggesting bad stuff, but let's be real, right? So we actually took real cards, right, and amended. We even printed our own IDs, right, and tried to break it, right? Yeah, so I will be real and say it's never 100%. It's never 100%. But it needs to be something that is good enough and sustainable for your business, right? And the bad actor part is where you need to have the subsequent controls in place to be able to catch, right? Your transaction monitoring, your transaction checks or step-ups, right? Your daily ongoing screenings. Yeah, so all of these will be able to subsequently catch. One on its own is not sufficient.
And it's also not a point in time. All continuously evolves, right? The solution that you put in place today,
100%.
in potentially a few months, it's already outdated, and we need to build on the partnership to update it. I think we only have time for one other question. A quick of a time check. One question is okay? Okay.
Yep. Hi guys, Adin here from CIMB. I've got a question for KY. So you mentioned about vibe coding and using AI, and it's increasing your productivity in terms of the products and features that you can push. But I've got a question to pick on your brains, the sexiest bank in Malaysia right now, right? You push a lot of products. We can identify things that we want to do, but trying to get buy-in, get stakeholders to push those through, these things, the things that comes after we have that product. How do you guys do it? How do you guys push that to the speed as fast as AI is going at the moment? Thanks. Do you get what I'm trying to...
You just summarize?
So summary, AI, very fast, we can produce a lot of things.
Yep.
But trying to get through regulators, trying to get through your compliance, all of those stuff.
Got it.
How do you manage that?
Got it.
Thanks.
I would say we haven't found the perfect path. I'll be very real, right? And I could see the smile on everybody's face, right? I think it's a struggle for a lot of people. And to be fair, it's learning, right? As the technology emerge, there's so much to learn. So what we have done is just sharing a couple of tips, for example, right? I think number one, the big boss up there, right, needs to be a believer. So therefore, some very small projects, or even showing how the sexiest bank have done it, right? I think that may be able to help convince, right? So you need to get the buy-in, in short, TLDR, right? To get a buy-in from your main shareholders, stakeholders, so that they see, wow, this is amazing, right? And they themselves need to be able to use AI on their day-to-day, right? So obviously, maybe more traditional ones, they like to think that, I'm smart. My own human intelligence is sufficient, right? But maybe that's where, if you're able to demonstrate the artificial side of things, is great, right? So maybe that's one part. The other part is a bit more governance. So starting that kind of culture in terms of like having a committee. So we actually have a like AI committee being set up, right? Just to make sure from a governance standpoint, whatever that goes in, we are okay with it. There are some controls around it. How are we thinking that there's some frameworks, right? But more importantly, I think it comes down to culture. If each and every one of you, like in my team, I was mentioning earlier, right? They are launching things every day, whether it's at personal level, mostly, right, at this point. But one of my teammates, to Hui Heng too, right, he actually just launched he vibe coded, right, and just launched a anime selector, like, yeah, anime preference platform, right? So, you know, it can suggest to you what anime suits you, right? Yeah, so things like that will be able to cultivate that kind of culture. Everybody just need to be uncomfortable from below the line, try a bit, vibe code a bit, vibe check a bit, right? Go through all of these unknowns, and eventually, once you cross the line, now you're above the line, right? And now you are the propagator to the rest of the folks. Yeah. Not sure if it's helpful, but I think these are some practical things that we actually do day in, day out at the bank.
Thank you very much, and please join me in thanking KY for sharing these insights on identity, AI, and the main trends in the industry. Thank you very much.